Hi, my name is Alex with Dave Tech Tutorials, and today we're going to be answering the question, should you make your Confluence space accessible to the public? In other words, should you provide anonymous access? It's a pretty hot topic in the Confluence community, and I wanted to make this video to give you my thoughts, opinions, and potential saving grace. How does your team articulate their thoughts and ideas? Did you know that a picture is worth 1,000 words? Let me introduce you to our exclusive sponsor for our Confluence videos, Glyphy. With Glyphy for Confluence, you can effortlessly create stunning flowcharts, mind maps, wireframes, and so much more, all directly from within Confluence itself. No more jumping to a different application or dealing with clunky integrations. Check out the link in the description below and start a free trial of Glyphy today. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, drop a like if you get value out of this video, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section down below. Let's jump into an article from Atlassian where they describe what is anonymous access. So here we are on Atlassian's support website, confluence-cloud/doc/setup public access. If you didn't know, in case you're new to this, it is possible in your space, when you're inside of a Confluence space, to go all the way down to your bottom of your space permissions, and there's a section that says anonymous access. And you can check that checkbox and basically provide anonymous users access to your Confluence space. But what exactly does anonymous access mean? Well, if you look at their website in this nice bold text, anyone, and I repeat, anyone on the internet will be able to find and access your site. This right here is the biggest red flag. Something you must consider and understand when you read that statement is that when you enable, when you opt in, because keep in mind that this is opted out by default, great job Atlassian, but when you opt in to make your space anonymous, you're inviting the entire internet. And that means the whole World Wide Web. So you want to make a very conscious decision if you do decide to go down this route. You want to make sure you have a very, very good paper trail. Executives, directors, VPs, C-suite executives should be aware and provide some sort of written proof and approvals that this got the green light. Because the moment that you do this, you can and potentially and will expose confidential or proprietary information to the internet. So you want to be very, very careful, because from a business competitive advantage perspective, this could be a very, very, very serious and fireable offense. So you do not just want to randomly turn on anonymous access because you don't want to pay for somebody's license. That is not a valid reason to enable anonymous access when you don't want to pay for your vendor or your client to be able to access your space. There is safer and more preferred ways to do that, and make sure you check out my videos on guest access. But anonymous access, there are a couple of business cases that do make sense, that do merit the exposure risk of creating a public Confluence space. And so the one reason that I can think of is, if you are a vendor, if you make and sell software and you don't want to have a dedicated website, it is possible for you to use your Confluence space, a dedicated one. You wouldn't necessarily want to expose all your Confluence, but just a very dedicated space that is designed for like FAQs, how-tos, guides, manuals, explanations for how to use the product that you're selling. A lot of marketplace vendors in the Atlassian ecosystem go down this route where all their documentation's in Confluence, their developers are working out of Confluence already, and it is to their best interest to expose this information so that their customers have the documentation that they need in order to have greater success with the software that they're trying to use. So in that case, it makes total sense. Are you struggling to get your points across in a meeting? Have you tried showing your team a diagram instead? Glyphy makes intuitive drag and drop diagramming software that helps teams of all types collaborate more effectively. Glyphy's deep integrations with Confluence and Jira make it the leading Atlassian diagramming tool, allowing users to create everything from technical diagrams describing software architecture to basic mind maps to capture ideas. Give our friends over at Glyphy some love and start a free trial using the link in the description down below. Now, Other than that, I really can't think of any reason why you would want to expose any kind of proprietary or confidential information, because it gives your competitors the advantage to have access to your guys' knowledge and repositories here. So other than, again, being very intentional with the fact that you're going to not post very, very private information, but rather information that the public should know, there really is no reason. Now, Atlassian here, though, does give us some information as well. So in what situations would anonymous access be useful? So using anonymous access to share externally is best when you want to share a lot of content with non-specific people, aka anyone on the internet. For example, a publicly available roadmap, an open knowledge base, or support documentation are prime types of content that you want to use this. You can organize your content in a space and grant anonymous users to that specific space. So this is very, very key. It is possible, right? So if you are considering this, it is possible for you to lock up everything else in Confluence and only expose that one and only that space. So at least you can have that peace of mind that that is possible. Now, anything that makes it, any kind of information that makes it into that space, I will gatekeep and firewall and make sure I have all kinds of approval processes, because you don't want somebody accidentally posting onto that space some privileged or confidential information. So I would lock that thing down from the internal side and not let just any random employee be able to put pages on this public space. Now, what is an anonymous user? It's literally anybody on the internet. It's a member. It could be also a member of your organization who's not licensed. And this right here, folks, is why a lot of people do it. They do it because you need to provide access to Confluence, and you just don't want to pay, right? Because it does get pretty pricey when you have 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 users. It can get pretty expensive. So you're like, oh, I'm just going to open it up. It'll make that easy. But you are exposing it to the internet. You also have someone who's licensed to your Confluence instance, but they're not logged in. Now, this is a pretty dumb reason. If they have a license and they're not logged in, like, you should log in. Now, how do you actually do it? So this, believe it or not, is a global permission first. So there is an anonymous section here where you can enable it. So by the way, so what this basically means is if this global setting is turned off, then no dice. You're not going to be able to do this at all. Now, if your admins do enable this, then you're going to be able to enable basically the section below where you come into a specific project and you enable it at the project level. Now, I want to, again, caution you, this is a very, very important thing. Making a page anonymous and giving everybody access is a very, very serious thing that you should consider and think about deeply, not just make it a very irrational, just like, oh, just heat of the moment type of situation. This is not the appropriate time to be shooting from the hip. So when you do this, just be very, very careful. Please keep in mind that there's 2 potential, maybe 3 different workarounds in case you want to do this and you don't meet the qualifications, right? If you aren't trying to put public roadmaps or open knowledge bases or support documentation, I don't think you should be even thinking about anonymous access. But if you have a vendor or a client or just a group of people that need access to a space, then I would urge you to go one of 2 routes. One, guest access in Confluence is very, very powerful. So I would recommend you go down that route because it's free and it's not going to totally botch up everything up, right? So you have a lot more control as to who gets access, and you can kick them out when you don't want them in there anymore. And number 2, and this is really like a 2.A and a 2.B, is right now, as of this recording, there are plugins like Old Street Solutions has a external share for Confluence that does allow you to generate links with a password and expiration, and you can give those to people so that they can access your Confluence in a safe manner without you having to pay those licenses. You do have to pay for Old Street Solutions' ability to do it, but you don't have to pay the Confluence license. And in the very near future, whenever Atlassian decides to deliver on their promises from April when they had their Team 23 conference, external share is going to be a built-in feature that's going to be cooked into the UI, and this is going to be part of the functionality of Confluence. So you may want to stick around or wait for that, so then you can share pages with your clients or vendors or whoever you want. Anyways, that's it for this video. I know it's a little bit of a serious video, but I have seen people get fired over this. I have seen companies get compromised because of this functionality. So I just wanted you to be very, very careful when you are doing this if you decide to go down this route. Is your team having a hard time collaborating? Then you need to try out Gliffy for Confluence. Collaboration has never been easier. Gliffy for Confluence allows your team to work together in real time, making edits, providing feedback, and driving productivity. Say goodbye to version control headaches and hello to seamless teamwork. Show our sponsor the power of the internet and start a free trial to Gliffy for Confluence using the link in the description down below. And that's it for this video. Couple key announcements. If you made it this far and you're not subscribed, this video is part of the Summer of Atlassian 2.0 series. So do make sure you smash that subscribe button because we are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers and we can only do that if you hit that subscribe button down below. And then second, the Jira guy and I have launched an official The Jira Life podcast. So if you want to get even more Atlassian content, make sure you check out the link in the description below where you will find a link to the Jira Life so you can go and subscribe over there. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need